Hello, and welcome to the DM's Book Club, a weekly book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons & Dragons and discuss how we might include them in our role-playing campaigns. We're back for round 2, myself, and as always, my wonderful co-host, Hamilton.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. You know something I didn't mention the other day is I have been listening to some old versions of the DM's Book Club.
Oh no, this is really awkward now. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, because you know what? I didn't realise I did as an idiot when I first listened to the show when I was a fan of the show before I came on the show.
And you too, listener, can also be on this show by just simply listening to it and going, I like this.
I didn't realise I had not listened to season 1 at all. I'd gone straight to season 2 and listened from there. And I went back and I was like, I haven't listened to season 1 because I obviously it probably was when I came into it, you were doing season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so you label them episode 1 for each season, never says what season it is, because I know a lot of podcast places
by season. Yeah.
So obviously I just started there and I was like, I haven't listened to all of these ones.
Wow.
So I thought I'm going to listen to them because, you know, I try and listen to ours and the ones that you do without me as much as possible. Just to, you know, you got to watch the game afterwards to sort of get tips on how you could be better. Do you know what I mean? As they say.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I always find them interesting to dispatch. But I was into them and they were really good. I was really enjoying them. And I was thinking, that Ryan chap, he's quite knowledgeable. He knows what he's talking about.
Well, sometimes. I think we know what we're talking about now.
I'm just getting, no, we now. Now we know our stuff about Planescape at least.
Yes.
Which is lucky because I'm moving on. What are we talking about today?
Wow, seamless. Yes, today. So we're back from round 2 of our Planescapes box set. We looked into Sigil and the Outlands and then a little bit into Mort's Plane Parade. But now we thought, we have a whole episode just discussing basically the adventure, which is Turn of Fortune's Wheel, which is an adventure set in mostly Sigil and then quite a bit of it in the Outlands. Well,
I'd say it's probably a good lot of it's in the Outlands, actually.
Yeah, it's the other way around, really. So you start off in Sigil, go out to the Outlands and then back again. And it feels like, again, just on the off, it's a very interesting adventure because of the mechanics that are involved in it as well. I'm sure they've had it in maybe older adventures, and I definitely have not experienced this mechanic, but we've talked about this mechanic in Dark Sun, this idea that you have more than one character that you've sort of rolled up, essentially. The difference is being that the characters you have in this particular adventure are versions of the same character compared to Dark Sun, which was lots of different characters.
Because your character's going to die. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much in a desert-like plane.
I'm just going to say, I've got to put it out.
Do it.
They've copied me again. Fiona.
Oh, no. Wizards have been listening to DM's Book Club.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. And Dragon's Duel, Shattered Realm. I mean, Phandelver, the book before, was called The Shattered Obelisk, using the same font from that episode. And then this one, they do a Planescape adventure where the players start as split personalities of the same player who then gain all their levels again halfway through. I'm watching you.
Man,
you've been watching me.
This is just my overall feeling of it. Like, I really enjoyed the adventure overall. It's a long one. In total, there is, I'm just checking, ultimately there's 15 chapters and then the conclusion. So it's a very long book, and each of them are leveled up. You get levels in them. Yeah. The ones in the middle in part 2, you don't have to do them in a particular order. It's just as and when the GM wants you to go there. But the starting bit of it feels very much like when we talk about heists. And I know that previously we've obviously waxed lyrical about Dragon Heist. That's not necessarily a heist per se, like in terms of like, here's a casino, here's, what I envisioned, like, like Ocean's 11, that sort of thing. Whereas right at the beginning of this book, you are introduced to the Fortune's Wheel, this incredible Planescape casino, which is very vibrant and has lots of very interesting little bits in it that, again, you don't have to have that. You could have that in other adventures as well. Maybe, you meet Shemeska, who is the casino owner, and just have that really cool casino in other things. It just feels very, very, to me, very, very established that here is a really cool setting that you want to have in your games, whether it's like a James Bond type thing, whether if you want to have like I said, that heist, like Ocean's 11 type thing. Here's a really cool casino that's really well mapped out for that.
It feels like, since talking about the heist, the keys from the Golden Vault, I think they took in that book a real good attempt to build on a trope, but in really interesting ways, in completely different machinations, which I think set them up really well for a Planescape adventure in some respects, because those were very much like, let's look at things in quite an abstract way. And I think that that's kind of been translated quite well into this. I don't know if the same writers were on it.
A couple of them are. Certainly one person that definitely has been featured quite a bit in quite a few of the other ones is Justice.
Yeah, he's the lead on these. Yeah.
He was the one that created my favourite Radiant Citadel adventure, which is the Concordant Express.
You mean the heist adventure?
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which turns up in this as well, again.
Which turns up in this. But he also did the... I can't remember what it's called, but I ran it. The
Radiant Citadel one you ran,
yes. I ran that one with the Golden Sun one, which was really, really good. So so some really cracking writing in this adventure as well. But we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. So we start off this adventure where you wake up in a mortuary.
Just like the Planescape game, talking with Mort again. He's there again.
They sort of pointed out, again, a really interesting concept. You don't really know who you are, per se. You're a bit groggy, and you have to fight your way out of this mortuary, because obviously you have died.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to, you're not supposed to come back. And so there's a little bit of body horror stuff. There's a little bit of some fun sort of like puzzles and stuff like that. But I think my only criticism really of this first really early section is that Mort doesn't really come with you. And I don't know if that's obviously in the video game, if they come with you a lot, because I will be honest, I haven't played it.
He's there the whole time.
It doesn't come with you, he's waiting for someone. And I'm like, nah, the players are going to take them with them.
I think maybe it's trying to express that he's waiting for the character in the Planescape game that they go along with.
Oh, that makes more sense.
But yeah, obviously you aren't. There's a talking skull creature. You're like, of course I'm going to take them.
Especially when they've given you all this information about, who you are. Like, you've died. You need to get out. There'll be people outside. Yeah, just don't worry about, like giving you bits of information, and you're like, cool, well, you're coming with us, because we don't know where we are, what the hell's going on.
I mean, like, have you played Monkey Island?
I've played like a little bit of it.
Okay, because Murray is a talking skull in that, and one of the best characters in it as well. So, like, I think everyone loves a good talking skull. You've got to have a lot of charisma, I think, if you're going to make it as a talking skull.
But it does talk about, like, again, with the way you role play Mortars, about being a bit funny, a bit cheeky, very charismatic. But what's interesting is that instantly it does talk about this glitch that you don't necessarily have to tell the players about, like this idea that when your character dies, then another version of yourself appears in a room close by. So you never truly, truly die.
It's cool. It's a good mechanic for maintaining characters. Keeping characters from dying is kind of a cool idea. Really, it's a good way of making it work.
Especially in a place which does have quite a few death traps in it. That it does talk about it, and as a way to introduce it, it does talk about like the two ways of like creating characters. That you could either get them to roll them all up at the beginning, or do it as and when a character dies. But it does sort of talk about like not mentioning the glitch if you're doing that.
Makes no sense. And I know, spoiler alert, the reason why they're dead is a spoiler for the twist in the story. Yes. So that's sort of understandable, but you could still play that by any other way. You don't have to reveal who kills them, but you could. Well, it just feels that is what's kind of missing from the adventure. Yeah. Is like, my one was that someone casts Wish at the same time as two people cast Wish at the same time.
Yeah.
And so that's what causes the glitch. And that splits reality, because one wishes for someone to have infinite power over the universe, and one was for them to never exist. So how can you never exist but have infinite power over the universe, or whatever? That's an affordable glitch making tactic. And it feels like that's what's missing. It's like, because I'm trying to think, why is there a glitch? I don't understand why there's a glitch.
So yeah, it explains it right at the end how it's happened.
No, I know. That's what I mean. At the beginning, you're like, well, I don't get it.
Yeah, let the GM know what's going on. Like, they're usually quite good at giving, like, here's a flow chart about how to run this adventure, and here's what's really going on. And that is missing a little bit.
Even if there was just the initial scene is like, you feel blood rolling down you, your mind's foggy, and then you see visions of other selves of you and existence and realities you've never seen before, but it's you and you don't understand it. And then the next thing you do is you wake up, like just that introductory piece of like, and then you wake up in the mortuary, but give them some sort of like dream sequence that maybe abstractly explains there's some sort of weird glitch and multiple versions of your reality, and then jump you in. That doesn't have to explain the twist. It just says, oh, by the way, there's a glitch. Do you know what I mean? There's no mention of it apart from you, when you die, a character that looks like you turns up.
Which I guess can feel a bit like jarring. So that's what I'm going to say about the session 0 stuff and lines and veils and stuff like that. I'm the sort of person who only creates one character. But then if I'm told, okay, your character's died, we're going to take a break. I need you to roll up another character that's similar, that has the same stats to you within 15 minutes. I'm like, wait, what? At least then if I've got sort of like, hey, because of the glitch stuff, there'll be multiple versions of you, then I can be like, okay, I can at least pick out, I want to be another version of character is a ranger and they have this element that's different. And so I can actually help and play into it. And just also because some people might be like, oh, that's not for me. And then you could be like, okay, well, we'll work around this glitch in another way that, I don't know, you come back, but you've got exhaustion or something, like it's because some people might not appreciate the glitch in a certain way. They're like, something's different about that person.
Or just have them glitch in and out every so often. Yeah. Like just have them, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Just suddenly you look at your friend who's like currently a Gisserai wizard, and then they're wearing these robes, and then suddenly, you look like a humanoid with elvish ears, and they sort of glitch in, and then you can form back again. They're like, what was that about? I don't know, just have them glitching that's what I would do to sort of help reinforce it.
That would be a better one where it's more of an appearance thing.
Yeah.
And so you keep this everything.
Yeah.
It's just, you just feel sick perhaps because you're being pulled apart by different dimensions and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Because if people don't want to handle how, up to 3, it is very fair on this. It goes up to 3. But again, the opposite way is true. You could probably have as many different kinds of versions as you want.
Because we had 2 campaigns running in our one where we had 2 characters playing 2 different ones. We did it like you could cast a spell. Like if you were one of the Chloe's character was an artificer and their other half was a sorcerer. So I let them cast a sorcerer spell once per day. Randomly. I would just say, you can, and they'd be like, what?
That's cool.
Stuff like that. So sort of let them, like when it was thematically appropriate that things were going a bit wrong for them, maybe they start glitching in and their other character sort of gives them a bonus benefit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. This is just for people who are going to run this adventure, little ideas based on someone who's done something similar.
Because ultimately the start is really interesting. So obviously, you get out, you surface in Sigil, and then you meet someone and goes, hey, I know someone who can help you. And that's how you get into the Fortune's Wheel. But I feel like, again, it's very much A to B, C, but then you could get into Sigil, go, right, what the fuck is going on? Maybe you all split up. Maybe you realize that you need each other's help. And then, you go to that, Sigil and Outlands source book and then using some of the stuff we've got there, explore the wars a little bit before you get to Fortune's Wheel, etc. And then when you get there, I can just visualize it very well, this idea of Fortune's Wheel. Again, I love minigames. I'm a massive fan of doing minigames and having I think it was in the Golden Vault, they had this idea of Dragon Ante. And then if you buy the game, Dragon Ante, you could play it for real and all that sort of thing. And I just imagine if you were having any part of the adventure in Fortune's Wheel for a long time, because that's how you meet Shimeshka, who is the antagonist essentially of this adventure, then you want to be like, okay, we're going to have a whole session here. What are you playing? What are you doing? And it details the details for the games, the little there's a dragon encounter you have to deal with, a dragonborn encounter who's like, I hate this place, and you're like, oh, calm them down, or they'll leave, etc. And all your sort of good deeds or stuff that's going on in the casino is noticed, and again has a little bit, tiny bits of benefits later on as well.
The structure of this is very different, like overall, like with not only these little things that you're talking about, like mechanics that are related to the way you're playing and what you're doing, but also like this introductory thing, like the Philosopher's Club. It's a lot more work on the DM's front on this. Agreed. You've got to read the other books and be very knowledgeable about Sigil to start this off, because it kind of goes, they get onto Sigil and here's someone's going to take them places, but do some encounters. Here's where you can introduce 3 of the factions, but maybe your characters want to join a faction. How are you going to do that? Maybe you need to have this conversation. Having run 2-3 campaigns that I've done in Planescape, it's a really difficult thing to be like, here is Sigil. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you interface with it? How do you get it across in a 3-hour session, or something like that? And maybe you can't, obviously, but it's like, this does it in a very much like, well, here's a little bit of an encounter with 3 main factions. Here's a Harmonium Guard that gives you a bit of a knowledge of Harmonium. Maybe you could put some Mercy Killers and someone could mention the governors at least. But I think it does a good job of like giving you little piecemeal pieces for then the DM to kind of you've got to do a lot more prep than other games, because you've got to kind of build that mind map out for yourself of how you're going to get the characters into this new, very different world, I think.
And I know we talked about this a lot last episode, but compared to the Spelljammer box set, where the Spelljammer box set was like, okay, you're on your own world, except it's just being destroyed, and you get beamed up into the Spelljammer, and it's all about the Spelljammers and moving places. We'll get to the Rockabrow, and we spend literally no time at all there, really, before you're off around doing other things. Cool things, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But then compared to the source book, which talks about the Rock of Bral in great detail, it's like, why is there not much more put on here?
I know, it's a bit weird, yeah.
So whereas here, obviously, it makes sense that you're like, hey, you could spend a lot of time in Sigil before you even go to Fortune's Wheel, and that's cool because there's so much more to pull on. Whereas in that Spelljammer stuff, it's like there's nothing there, and that really made me cross because like the Rock of Bral is really cool and it has a great map and all that sort of thing, but then the adventure isn't really set there. And it kind of like, and you're off and you're going to other places, and then ultimately it's not the fate of Rock of Bral, it's some other population that you have to save.
Yeah.
There's no good ending for it. And it kind of goes, well, why wasn't this mentioned in the other books? So that maybe as a DM, I could flesh it out a bit and be like, oh, lots of things, rather than like, why would we care about these people who have destroyed our own homes?
Yeah.
So
100%.
Whereas here it feels a bit more interconnected.
100%. And I think if you do want to have more time in Sigil, here is what I've done in a couple of Planescape adventure things. If you want to you can do the GTA, all the portals are broken. There's your glitch, right? That's always a good one. It's like Sigil gives you a real good GTA moment of the bridges aren't open yet, because you can do that. And I did that in 2 things. So I was thinking, how do you keep people in Sigil? Because the minute you get in Sigil, I want to go everywhere. And it works really well. And it gives you the opportunity to see it in peril, which means people get a bit more heightened emotions, which means you can tensions rising in streets, which means you can have more of those interactions that they have there with arguments between different factions and see who the factions are working with one another. And you get to see those sort of arguments on the streets makes more sense. And then you get to understand a bit of like how things work because they're not working. Like we can't get to Arboreus, so we can't get any food. How are we going to deal with that? And that sort of thing gives you more insight into the world. And then people rallying to the Lady of Pain. It's a good intro. So another one to hand to people for like, if you want to spend some more time in Sigil, you've got the glitch, make that part of the glitch. And then suddenly, they've all started working again. It's all fine now. Or some of them started working and they figured it out.
That would make sense, I guess, if you're like, okay, we're going out to these plains and then you come up to the gate town. If you didn't want to have necessarily the travel aspect in the Outlands. Because we were just talking about, a lot of the adventure is about you traveling to places in this big castle, which we'll come to in a second.
Which is equally cool,
Which is very, very cool. I guess it's just a way to explore and make those connections and have a roaming base, per se, that's outside the Outlands rather than possibly in Sigil.
But it also could be your way to see like, okay, all the gates are broken, but Shemeshka knows. You go to see Shemeshka, and it's also like, I know one that's still working. There's a couple that are still working. I know the network have found this one, and this one, but really we can only really get you to the Outlands, and I actually have a job for you. Yeah. And it sort of all works very coincidentally, but that's the point. It kind of works because it does. That's the thing.
And it's very interesting because, again, it talks about really good ways of how to roleplay Shemeshka and then be like, oh, I can help you with your glitching problem, no problem, but I need you to help me. I'm trying to find this rogue Modron called, is it Rome? Is it RO4M?
Yeah.
Because I'm really bad at like pronouncing this. I'm like, I think it's Rome. Is what
that makes sense.
I know. I'm like R2D2. That's what I'm like. Is it RO4M? Yeah. This Modron has gone missing from their employ, and the story is sort of like, they're a bit of an accountant. They balance the books, and we need them back, and we don't know where they've gone. We can't track them. Go find this person. So then here's a portal, and they sort of shift you out.
Yeah. Chapter 4, which is into the Outlands. The party travels the Outlands in search of a fugitive Modron. Their trail leads them to a mysterious castle with the ability to traverse the plane. The magical fortress has recently been occupied by fiends, which proves to be an impediment to investigating the site, learning more about the missing Modron, and exploring the Outlands beyond. And so you arrive in the Outlands, and they stand in the ruins of weathered black marble, and there's a solitary stone archway provides a frame for the portal you just passed through. Glittering deep blue sands spreads before you in all directions. Great impact divots mark the passage of something enormous. The trail leads towards a sudden transition in terrain where a forest of magenta trees climb craggly hills that look like wizened faces. Much further in the distance, impossibly tall stone spire stretches from the horizon of the cloud. So that sort of leads you to this, there's tracks in the floor, and that leads you to the walking castle. And then when you get to the walking castle, you find the mosaic Mimir.
So by the time we get to this castle, you have to basically get to the top and free the owner of this castle by either fighting or stealthing behind these fiends. And yes, in one of the drawers, in one of the places, there is this mosaic mirror that this Modron had been using to collect data, but it is badly damaged thanks to this assault on the castle. So in order to restore the entries that are missing, you have to go to these gate towns and synchronize this Mimir with the gate town portals and record as characters a description of this place and your experiences in it to feed into the Mimir. And then once all those have been completed, then it would triangulate to a point where you can find this missing Modron.
I was going through it, and I do feel in this adventure it requires a lot of you to be like, why is this working? Because I don't know why I've kind of gone to this random castle and okay, now there's a Mimir. Okay, so the Mimir was owned by Rome, who is the one we're trying to find, who happenstance seems to be in this Gorgon castle that's nearby where the portal we went to, which is run by this Githzerai. But the Mirmir's gone broken, but we need to fix the Mimir in order to then find Rome.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of wheels you've had to crank to get there.
It feels very much, you've just come across a castle where this Modron just was. I think take that Mimir, put it with Shemeshka. She gives you the MacGuffin.
That's it.
And you just happen across this castle.
Castle. As a cool thing to help you cross the plains. If you don't find it, you get across the plains your own way.
Exactly. Because it has a really cool history, this idea of this guardian that moves the castle with the Githzerai that's there, as the guardian.
She doesn't say, I'm going to put you next to a castle, does she?
I don't think she does. She just sends you out into the Outlands, I think, from my vague memory of it. But I think it makes no sense why she would just go find it. I'm going to look for your origins. You go find the Modron without giving something. Because, she is an Arcanoloth. She will have ways to track people down. Yeah. But maybe she just doesn't have time.
Exactly.
She's just look, here's the last thing we had, this will really help me out. My hands are tied running the casino, but I just feel like it just feels really weird for her not to be like, here's something.
It would make so much more sense if Shemeshka had it. It just doesn't see it fit. I know we're sort of trying to rewrite things.
It's a very nitpicky detail, but it makes sense to me. Because, what if they're like, we don't care about the castle? Because it says, the castle appears no matter where you go. And I'm like, no. Because maybe they want to have these, encounters in the Outlands. Maybe we want to go see these other realms.
I think it's a really great encounter. I think what would be so much cooler is, personally, I would actually probably go, here's the Mimir, and the portal lands at the foot of the castle, which is not walking, or when it is stationary, or it's in the castle.
Or you get to the first gate town.
Yeah.
You roll randomly, and that portal takes you to the first gate town. So you're already there, you've done it, and you go, right, fuck, where? Oh, God, we have to go to the next one? That's several towns over spire-wise.
Yeah. And then you see this walking castle.
Exactly,
being attacked by fiends, and you're like, all right.
I think just because I can feel as soon as you finish that first part, you're out of the Outlands, and then you're all right, we're in the Outlands. You go, now fucking what? Because it's not a video game. Yeah. It's not, it's very open world, it's sandboxy, which is fantastic. We love that sort of thing. But if you don't give them a couple of pointers in the right direction,
or it just walks over you, I think that'd be fine. I just think, do you know what? It just starts walking. No, it just starts your portal come out, and then you just hear boom. Boom, and you see this thing walking towards you, like, what character's not going to go, what the fuck is that? And then you see the Gith fighting with some fiends on the balcony of it, and you're like, all right, let's go. That kind of makes it just feels, I totally agree.
And then most of part 2, where you're going to these towns, we have 7 towns in total. You've got Automata, you've got Cursed, Excelsior, Fondel, Glorium, Rigus, and Sylvana. And then the final sort of 2 bits is that once you've had those sort of, you've done your encounters, you've synchronized with the gates, you can do a bit more Outlands exploring, which is that's I think is more important. I feel that should be first in this chapter myself, but whatever. And then obviously the final chapter, the chapter 13, is like, okay, you've got all this stuff, the Mimir sort of calculates and then says, oh, they're at the spire.
Yeah.
You think, which I do think it makes total sense, but I just like that idea. It goes, there's one thing that we can always see in the center of thing. I wonder if the Motron's gone there.
It's like I'm looking for my keys, but look, they're in the last place to look. Which is always the, you know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. It's always,
it's always your hand. It's always your hand.
Yeah, exactly. It's the obvious place.
Again, maybe what I would do is I would roll randomly that actually they're in a different gate town to the ones you've explored, so that we can explore another gate town. Because there's just so much. The book gives you 16 of them, and we get to explore 7 of them in this adventure per se. And I know we'll go into a little bit detail of each of them in a second, but it just feels like I would love it to be like, okay, randomly, oh, they're actually in chaos, and they're stuck in the cube. There's a reason that they're in the other gate towns, perhaps.
Yeah,
the spire stuff is very cool, which we'll get to as well. But I just was like, for me, I'd be like, I'm sure a smart player would be like, let's go see what the spire's up to. Like, oh shit, they're taking the walking castle to the tower. Well, fuck.
That's it. Yeah, but you can always be like, then you hear that sound of Gethsemane's lair or something like that, or which calls you in, and you can just take them to other places. It's fine.
Yeah.
Or you could just be like, Rome's not here now. He's not there yet.
Oh yeah,
he's not there. No, Rome's not here.
Nope.
You have to do the gate town bit for him to turn up.
The invisible wall, so you can't pass this area.
You can go in the area and talk to everyone, but they're like, yeah, we've not heard of this Rome chap.
The 7 gate towns you get to, there's obviously the neutral one of Automata, and then you have 3 evil and 3 good, which is a nice balance, I guess.
And it happens in 3s.
Always happens in 3s. And
it's kind of quite good because it's like, it gives each of them a little like, there's a thing going on in each one. So in Automata, you've got Githzerai futurist called Aristomus, who's a captain of the guard. If the characters clearly want to use a gate for something other to travel to Mechanis, they come to his attention either at the gate or the gate travel administratum, and they give them a job in mind, which is to find this person, which then leads them on a little quest to the inverse, which is the upside down world for Automata, which is how it maintains its neutrality.
Which is fun. I quite like that. Like, again, all the sort of main hooks is like, you can either, to get to the gate, you have to do something, or you can easily get to the gate. It's getting out, which is the problem, which is the like thing with curse.
Which is great.
I love Curse's one. This idea of like, you're not allowed out, but then you have to break out with someone else who's got this NPC, this idea of like a son who's trapped here, and the dad and all that sort of thing. I just thought that was a really cool story.
It's a good story. The other one's a bit like, I've got a job for you. Want to check this out? Like, but this one's very much like, well, in the fact of going into Curse, you're not allowed back out again. So you have already a thing you need to overcome, which is kind of cool. Yeah. And it does it in a really good way. I like that.
Excelsior is a bit of a mystery one where you're having to work out.
Yeah.
I'm very interested. I like a little mystery. Yeah. I'm trying to see how this tiefling individual is definitely lying. And the guard, you talk to your contact, it's like, I know they're lying, but I have to uphold the ideals of Excelsior. So maybe you have a way that you can think around it that doesn't necessarily involve breaking into their place of abode, but you can talk to them. And I just thought that was I like that, where, your service is that because you are not from the realm. It's like, oh, thank God. I can solve this mystery. Yeah, you can solve this mystery.
No, it's really good. It's really interesting. And that's quite a long one, actually, compared to the other ones as well, isn't it? It feels like they are meant to be in this order.
I feel that too. I feel it does say like you can do them in any order. And after a couple of gate towns, you can then level up, etc. But I think, again, unless I rolled randomly, it feels like the order that they've been put in for us to read through is like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like straight after Excelsior, you have Fornell, which is the creatures one, which I love. It's I just political attention, be like, oh, the Great Hunt. But then it is a bit like, okay, we talk to this leader, it's not them. You talk to that leader, it's not them. To this leader, it's not them. It turns out it's a completely different other, and you're like, oh God, for God's sake, nobody bloody talks to each other.
Yeah, 100%. Glorium has got some cool whirlworms, which are quite fun.
That's scary.
And a living bird ship, which is really cool.
The living bird ship is terrifying, but also so cool.
It is really cool, but it's definitely one of those video game moments when it's the protect the NPC, level. Things are attacking you whilst you're on rails, and you've got to stop it, but so that you can get from A to B. It's a what's it called? Not a fetch, but it's a protection thing.
You got to before the timer goes down. Quick time events. Yeah, It's an escort mission, 100%.
That's it. Yeah.
There's some great imagery though in that Glorium.
Yeah.
But I will say my favorite gate town in this particular adventure is Rigus, and this idea of like again similar to what you were just saying about like an escort mission, but this time it's like we're defending and there are things coming through the portal.
It's horde mode.
Oh, so good because then you're like, well, there's something going wrong and trying to find who's the betrayer on your side of the portal. I love that.
Yeah, it's really good. It's like part mystery, part horde mode. Yeah, it's a constant like battle going on. It fits obviously with the Acheron theme, so yeah, I like it.
All these missions essentially to get close together. I think they are really well tailored into what's going on. And then you have, again, I think the scariest gate town, which is Sylvania, which is all party. And then you have to entertain someone who's super awkward at parties. And I'm like, no, that's just me. I don't want to be myself in a D&D game.
What, you're the one that has to entertain awkward people at parties, or are you the awkward person?
I'm the awkward person. The person that's like, I think so. Like, it's described as a giant person who goes, I just want to take part in this, and like, cronk, cronk, cronk. And you're like, no, stop her from taking part in stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's more that you have to like stop the kid from breaking the vase in a china shop sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, or just ruining things, or being too exuberant and squishing like pixies and stuff.
It's a classic sort of fantasy trope of looking after a giant that's like a giant baby. There's got to be something that's got like a giant baby.
Yeah, we talked about it in Big Bees a little bit about like giant children. They're very, very vulnerable, but they obviously just can't control their actions.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't control their own bodies like babies do.
Yeah,
so it's like, oh no.
But they're big and they will hurt things. Yeah,
consequences for everyone. And then like just quickly looking at the Outlands explorations, talking about various like cool things with like the glitch as well, like the explorations they might encounter one of these events, and just
the glitch encounters are quite cool.
I feel like as we go on, I know always say, oh, wizards love their bloody tables, but I feel like they are been really thought about and written. It's not just like, oh, just put in a vampire here, put in a Mazarj.
But this is what I was saying they needed more of in the beginning than now, because it feels like that should be happening in Sigil. There should be some glitchy things happening right at the beginning.
You're right. I will say though, I did find, I don't know how if you caught this, there's the football match or the baseball match that goes on between good and evil.
Where's that?
It's in the Outlands one. It's called Angels in the Outlands, and every 300 years Celestials and Fiends gather to play a ball game in an observation of an ancient agreement between a god and a demon lord. And I was like, is this a play on the football match from World War One?
Oh yeah, it is a little bit, isn't it?
A little bit. And I was like, okay, I guess. I mean, like, again, an interesting way of putting it, but I was like, maybe not, I don't know, angels versus demons. I don't know.
Oh, the quadrone's called Goal. GO41.
The referee, yes. Yeah. So they play baseball essentially, and you can pick which team, and you can maybe fix if you're on on the evil team, which I thought was quite fun.
You know what? I'm not going to lie. I did a Fiona on that and skip.
You skipped it.
Well, I was fluff reading that bit.
That's the thing. That is something which you go, okay, we'll take the whole session. Like, I've not prepped the next gate town. I know. They're going to wander into this baseball game and they'll play it from there because it's fully written out, like what you can do and stuff. The Time Dragon is another
Mausoleum of Chronepsis, my favorite place. In my mind, it's much more Dark Souls-y looking because I feel like every dragon's represented as an hourglass and stuff like that. I always imagine it much more darker and much more gothic, but it's really cool. I love that they've gone there. It's one of my favorite places.
The only thing with that particular encounter is that I wish there was more of it. So it talks about like, oh, you meet the wormling or you meet the old dragon, etc., like at different points, etc. But I would love it if you had more encounters, so you're constantly crossing paths with this time dragon as you're making it your way around, so that the time dragon right at the beginning when you meet the ancient one is like, hello friends, like properly like, I won't see you again, but you'll see me. That sort of like very Obi-Wan Kenobi type vibe to it, and just have a really fun time of it. And then you finally have like a lizard folk who come and join you for a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, it's this very nice castle you've got. Can you take us to our god's bog? Thank you."
Like, no idea like that. You do think though, if you're going to speak to a time dragon that can send you 8,000 years into the past or the future, that they might be able to fix your problem. Do you know what I mean?
But I wondered if that could be something where they could hint at, don't trust Shemeshka.
Yeah, you think like the time dragon, because it gives you a gift, but you feel like I'd give that as an opportunity. I wouldn't offer it, but I would be like, if they want to utilize the abilities of this time dragon, I'd be like, yeah, go for it. let's muck with the glitches. Why don't you try and go back in the past and then have one of your glitch people run up and go do the Back to the Future 2 when they go, are you Marty McFly? Yes, I was told to come here. Everyone who had a bed in the office that 30 years time, you were going to be here. Do you know when, and the guy gives him the piece of paper telling him where he's meant to go and stuff like that from the past. That's what it should be.
It should be that. Yeah. And then once you've got all the information...
Yeah. Beep, bop, bop, bop. Oh, I know the answer.
The magic device relates information from the last great Mogdron March. And one thing I would say, again, I've not read it in its entirety, but I've read the first bit of the Mogdron March adventure module, and it's really interesting, this idea that, again, it explains it in the book, this idea that every 200 something years,
87 or something like that.
It's something very esoteric, and it's like, and it changes depending on what you read. These Modrons go on a big march around the plains to get an assessment, essentially. And in the Great Modron March adventure, they start early, so of course all these settlements are destroyed and stuff, and people don't know what's going on. And the spoiler is because somebody has killed Primus, which is, I know, it's great as a result. But I don't know who, because I never finished the March.
That sounds really good, though. I never read it, actually. I've never read Modron March, but it's one of the greatest ones from 2E, I know, from the Planescape era. But...
I'll see if I can find it, and I'll send it across for you for just reading in general, because there's some interesting images of Primus coming out of some sort of soup, I think. Yes. My memory. It's very odd.
Yeah, he regenerates, because it would be the same as like if one below dies, then the next closest one higher up, or the most recent one would ascend. So the Decatron, that's the most recent Decatron, would just become Primus, I guess. Is that what happens?
I think so. But again, it because it's such a shift, because that's such a big... takes time for people to go up, and the paperwork in
paperwork.
It's like, oh no, murder! But so from this they can learn where Rome has gone. Likely followed it to this place, the Dendradis.
Or Dendradis.
Which is a community that's been carved into the spire in the centre of the Outlands. And within the spire, surrounded by the mysteries of the multiverse, the characters can finally catch up to Rome, but they are not the first to do so.
Dun, dun, dun.
And because Rome is stuck in some sort of Dark Weaver's web, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
I will say, though, what's Shemeshka doing at this point? I would have it so that she checks in every so often. Yeah. As like the overlord benefactor, like the patron.
I don't quite understand the whole thing that she's doing as well, because it's like, spoiler alert, she's the reason they died.
Yes.
But then she's like, I'll just see what happens, instead of being like in the casino, bleh. Do you know what I mean? That's what you do, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, maybe she just thinks that the Outlands will do the dirty work for her. Maybe she's too smug and cunning, but it does feel a bit like, I don't know, like, unless like the deeds of what the party's been doing throughout the Outlands, throughout the Gate Towns, like, oh, we solved all these problems, and they go, oh, they're getting stronger, they're getting closer to the truth. I'm going to send out assassins after them.
Yeah. I think a bit of that would be good.
I think just to be like, oh shit, somebody's really looking for this Rome person.
Yeah, a couple of encounters that aren't necessarily related to them, but just them being in peril outside of the norm. Yeah, you're right.
But like having good. Like, because there is an assassin that comes with them into this community and then tries to kill them when they find Rome. But I do feel like the reasons why Shemeshka wants the Monodrome, I guess, because ultimately it's about the Modron March and having these Modrons stuck in a certain place, and they're just boiling point, and she's hoping to control them in a certain way. But I'm just like going like a little bit too many steps when I think it should be dead straightforward, and that maybe your characters were protectors, like you were on the march yourselves, you just got caught up in it, and then you're like, I need to get rid of the evidence, that sort of thing, rather than what is described at the end as a sort of like, oh, you were too powerful for Shemeshka and she just really didn't like you, and you can have your own reasons why you decided. I was like, you need to have them connected to the story in some way. You can't just plonk them in.
It does feel a bit like that. You also can find a Book of Vile Darkness.
Yep, our fave little book. There is a creature. I'm just trying to find them now. You need to tell them a secret of the multiverse somewhere.
Is this not the Bereneloff, the same one?
Yes.
That has the Book of Vile Darkness?
Yeah, sorry, that's it. Yeah, so
Scholar.
I was just so good. I love stuff like that. Tell me a secret. But because I as a DM, I would definitely be like, you tell me a secret. And it could be like an actual, not a player secret, but it could be like a fact about the real world or something like, do you know that this is not real, everything is fictional, and we are making us all up in our minds? I'm like, whoa. Yeah, I'd love to. I'll take that.
Then you escape the spire once you've got Rome away from the Darkweaver.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the on the way out, Acetylus ambush and kill the characters, and then Rome. I'm confused. I'm a little bit confused again. Why they're doing that again?
See, I would just take. I would have that assassin try to take Rome from the players.
That's what I
mean.
Go
back rather than try and kill them all off. I feel like what Rome has is very valuable to Shemeshka compared to what the players were. And maybe it was just because they couldn't find where Rome was. So, keeping them on their toes that there's definitely somebody, so they have to hurry up and get on with the mission. And they're like, oh, thank you.
I mean, I think I'm just going on the fact that it's an Arcana loss, so maybe they are a bit more like, well, I've killed them. It's not really that important why I've killed them. They're alive. Well, I might as well use them instead of just killing them again because I've actually got this problem I need solving. Yeah. I'm kind of seeing it as how I'm trying to figure it in my mind is like, Shemeshka's like, okay, these people are annoying. Kill them. Oh, I hate to break it to you. They've not died. What? Okay. But literally only that day it was like, oh, that Rome character's gone missing. And she goes, all right, I've got a job for them. Do they not know why I killed them? Fine, let's use them. If we can't kill them, we'll use them. I guess that's the way I have to play it in my mind.
I think it's supposed to be like very cunning, very like smooth talking, two birds with one stone type thing. But
that kind of thing.
It does feel a bit of a stretch. Just knowing myself as a GM going,
I'd change it a bit up, I think.
I would change it up as well.
I don't even think the twist is necessary for the story to work.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think it's that great a twist because it falls down a little bit. I would just have it that Shemeshka just tries to kill them because she just wants Rome and doesn't want them. Yeah. And would just be like, I'm done with you now and you're not important to me.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. You're a means to an end.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea that maybe she doesn't know that you are all glitches. Like, in the sense of, like, she keeps sending people after these people. And because it turns out in the end that... Yeah. Through a MacGuffin within Rome, you can get into the platinum suites of the casino, which, again, some very cool bits and pieces there, which I feel aren't explored nearly enough.
Dungeon Land is cool. Love that.
Dungeon Land is so cool. The one of the gods fighting at very sped up speed, and then you age as you're putting bets on them. That's very cool, but also... Yeah. Again, you're like, oh, you've died. Oh, the glitch has appeared. That's okay. And then you go into Shemeshka's chambers where you find she has captured almost like Pokeball style these people that she, her enemies and stuff in these balls. And that's where your other counterparts, that's where you were, essentially. You've been caught and imprisoned in here. But thanks to this glitch in the universe, thanks to these Modrons that are marching in the wrong area,
it just doesn't make enough sense. It just doesn't feel... Like, I don't know why, unless they say like, oh, it's a glitch in the magic of these Pokeballs. I don't know why it then has to relate to the Modrons.
Yeah, it's like the only connection is like Rome has the information of where the Modrons are that Shemeshka wants to use. But then, so what? Like, it's kind of all of this is like, so what? Like, that's why I'm like, they should be people that have been caught up. Like, when these Modrons were taken, they happened to be around doing another mission or something, and they were just got taken and then put in this place, and they're like, oh, I don't know, being pulled apart.
I just think it should be one or the other. I just don't think you need both. I don't think you need the glitch. It's just too coincidental that the people that Shemeshka put in a Pokeball are then glitched out of existence by a thing that Shemeshka wants to also figure out, which is why there's a glitch because of this Modron. I think I would just have it that Shemeshka's been tasked with figuring out why the Modron thing has gone glitchy. Do you know what I mean? Like, everything's gone glitchy because the Modrons are out of sequence and have got lost.
I like that. So she doesn't really know,
But I don't know why. I would just make her part of a faction that is about harmony or something, not the Harmonium. I don't know. Or she's a faction member of Order, the Fraternity of Order. I don't know, something like that.
Because that'd be cool to tie it back into the factions. Because again, like, they are mentioned, and they're used in like some of the plot hooks and stuff like that. But it's not like one faction to rule them all.
So these people are glitching. She's trying to figure out why things are glitching, get them on board. That's why they go to her, because she's trying to figure out the glitch because of these Modrons. Don't have her kill them or have them in the Pokeballs. It just doesn't. You could have her having Pokeballs of people, and that could be a kind of weird, freaky thing that you could be like, why you got them? Yeah. But I don't think it needs to be. I don't think it needs to be that.
No.
Or it could be like, if you want a twist, once, like, you could have it that you go off and literally the next day, you could even like telegraph it a little bit, is that the other people in the Pokeballs are glitches of other people. who have glitched, and there's only a few people that have glitched, so it's not just you.
Yeah.
Part of her job is capturing all the glitch people.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That would be interesting,
which is part of the way of fixing it. And then the last encounter could be, are you the glitch or are you the real one?
Yes.
Are you going to be put in a Pokeball or not? And you could roll for it, or you could prove yourself. You have to, or if you've got it aligned correctly, your belief, then you aren't the glitch people. Or she goes, your information you collected was actually incorrect. Unfortunately, you're in the wrong universe. Dead. Pokeball.
Yeah.
In an alternate universe, there's a version of you that's gone round and got it in the correct situation. That would make much more sense. It feels like every time they try to add too many layers.
It's too much. It is too much.
It's done a Hamilton. And even Hamilton's noticed it's too much. Even I'm saying it's too unreal.
What I would say, that when you release these other versions of yourself, not only do you have the memories coming back, here's some questions to help you detail it out, which is really cool. Some of the questions it says about, do others consider you a hero or a villain? So that you could have, I quite like that in terms of playing what it is, what accomplishments were you known for, etc. But it then, once you've unlocked your other incarnations, you can choose which one is the correct one, but you also jump up to level 17. You're like, amazing. That to me is very, very cool. I think I would suggest to the players, you create another character.
Yeah.
Because you can choose between the 3 that you've played, fine. I'm like, but what if for level 17, if we're going pure chaos, multi-class, do a barbarian after all, or something like,
I would do it with the way I was saying, which is actually, if I was going to run it, I'd do it the other way, which is that you then realize if you're the real one or not. She then is able to figure out, once you've done that bit, you could work it out that every single one of these glitches is doing it at the same time. You slowly have been leveling up as you've gone along, because other ones have done it. And then when she locks either you or other versions, she knows you're the real one or not the real one, then she unlocks. So if you are the real one, if you get the Mir things correct, you level up to 17. You're a version of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then if you don't get it right, then you can choose any other one. That's how I would have it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I would do. But I think that's right. I think any of the ways is a fun way of doing it, and getting up to level 17 is always great.
But then here's the thing. So obviously at level 17, you're like, we're back, we're feeling it. And then Rome says, I need you to help me get my brethren back out of this plane that they're stuck in. And then you get to play stuff. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy it. I think it's really cool. There's not really an end boss fight.
No.
Which I think if you're at level 17, you kind of want to end boss fight.
I do love the map, by the way, for Tyrant Spiral.
It's so cool. I think it's
so good.
Really beautiful.
Very, very evocative.
And it's just the idea that they just keep on going. It's so cyclical.
You get to fight some beholders.
But you have to get them out by either getting them into several portals and jumping off, etc. But I think if they start jumping off into portals, fine. But then maybe that's when the Dark Lord of this place, or the place like, no, boys are my creatures, and then you're doing battle whilst round after round.
You do get to fight XO1, don't you?
I guess, but then that's an interesting one, because the XO1 is the person that gets corrupted by the plane itself. And so having to turn the murder on stuff around, I guess that is the big boss in the end. But I was expecting, deity level. I guess that's what I'm thinking, rather than
when you're at level 17.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all for fighting Murdrons. I love them, but I want to crush them.
I know what you mean. It feels like if you're going to go to Seminid, you want to fight massive, big, a death tyrant sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other way you could run it as well, which I think could be fun, is you could introduce the Illithid area to try and rejoin yourselves. Could be other ways you could play it. But yeah, I think it's fine. And then, because then also it makes it weird that you then go, once Arconoloth Tereska is frustrated by the characters interfering with the plot and avoids them for a time, but she doesn't want to let annoyance get in the way of opportunity. She might even eventually contact the characters to evolve them in future schemes. It just feels weird. So I think if you did do she didn't kill you bit and got rid of that, then that would make that a little bit more a connection that you'd have to a faction and just have that moving on.
Agreed.
I do like the last bit of this, though, which is the lady's gift. It's unclear when or how it happened, but the street around you is empty and still. Before you can ponder the cosmically infinitesimal chances of a Sigil street being empty, a somber grey-skinned figure floats into your path. The Dabus hover silently as a string of illusionary images fade into view around it. Prominent among them, these symbols, is the raisoned image of the Lady of Pain. The first character seed on a DC in 10 intelligence reads that it says, "The lady saw what you did. She has a message. Stay out of trouble." The rickety plank door opens easily, revealing a wall of crusty bricks and gnarled razor wine. Embedded at the wall center is a perfectly square metallic brick with a faintly glowing tower-like rune on its surface. It's a cubic gate, which slips from the wall effortlessly. The magic item is key to this door in Sigil, and it basically opens up to the world of the material plane and 3 other planes of your choice.
Fast travel has happened for you. Yeah.
And so you basically get a portal. And the adventure ends here, as the characters on the threshold of the multiverse, a place every bit as unpredictable and dangerous as it's always been.
Da, 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 da. So there you go. So that's like a quick run through of the overall thing. I do enjoy this adventure a lot more than the Light of Syraxis, which is the Spelljammer one.
Yeah.
But the thing is, obviously, there are bits in it where we're going, maybe I don't understand this logic that's going on. But then we've gone, but that's all right, because we still like the main core elements of it, you know?
That's it. I think that's it. I feel like the story needs work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It needs to go through an editor, yeah.
Yeah, it needs a bit of an edit. But as you said, it has the fundamentals of a good Planescape adventure, which is a really good introduction to Sigil. Requires a lot of work on the DM's behalf to get into Sigil, but I think that's kind of fine because you just have to use the other books for that.
That makes sense.
It would be nice if they had done a better, more tailored experience, but I think that's fine. But then it gives you a nice little introduction to the Outlands. It gives you a view into all these different peoples of Outlands and hints at other planes that your players might be like, oh, that's interesting. This is where I'm going to go next, and leads you on a route through those things. Yeah. I'm down.
Yeah, overall, I really like it. Again, it is just like little changes of it. Like, I wouldn't change Shemeshka at all.
No.
I think all the key elements are there compared to, like, I know I keep going back to Syraxis. I was just like, I don't like any of these people.
Yeah, no, I like the characters. I just changed the motivations.
Yeah, and I think that's such an easy thing to do when you enjoy the story as much as we have. I wonder, again, maybe this is just Fiona being, like, big-brained. I think I would just make it that the Mimir has lost all the gate towns, so you have to go visit them all.
Yeah.
And do your own Modron March, essentially, you know?
I think I would. If you were up for expanding on it, and I think they're all great, you could just use the adventure hooks they've got in all the other gate towns to start yourself off if you haven't got one, or just go to any of the Planescape books from 2E and read those, or listen to us talking about them on the DM's Book Club. Oh. And if you want to go to any of the planes as well, do that as well.
But we've got actually something quite special for next episode, haven't we, Hamilton?
Yes. Well,
I'm handing it over to you, so you can talk about it.
Because I went to the D&D Beyonds, which is where I get everything, and I found that there was a thing called the Mortuary Adventure Atlas. It's a news source thing. It's a supplement which basically outlines the mortuary from Planescape. It allows someone to sort of, it gives loads of different rooms and experiences and interactions and encounters within the mortuary. For different tier levels, so it has ones for 1 to 4, 5 to 10, 11 to 16, and then gives you locations to deal with those sorts of levels. And I thought Fiona could take me on a little journey.
Yes, absolutely.
A little journey and see if I can escape the mortuary.
Yes.
As a solo adventure. Well, as in one-on-one GM.
One-on-one, Fiona versus Hamilton. Who will win in the mortuary?
Exactly. To be honest, if that was ever going to be a battle arena, it would probably be that.
Choose your arena, Fiona. Horror.
Mortuary, Hamilton. Have you looked at it?
I haven't looked at it yet, but I know you have. I had a quick look at it and I was like, a Necrocore? Okay. I was like,
the Nevervault. Yeah, there's the Spirit Sump. There's loads of different, like, places that you could take me. I think you can choose a few. I think start me off in this. You do you. I don't know. I'm not that. Why am I telling you as DM?
I don't know. But But next year, so next time when we record, we'll go through the mortuary
with my character.
With your character, yeah.
What level am I going to be? What level do you want to do?
I'm just going to say it now. Level 10.
Level 10. Good 10. Solid. Good solid.
So I'll just say level 10 rogue, because that's what you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. What am I going to be? Assassin? Yeah, probably.
Have to think about it. Don't think about it too hard. You can go background and stuff.
I'm going to min-max and everything.
Oh, yeah. You might have to, being one-on-one. Yeah. But it's interesting because the D&D Beyond has, like, extra things. Obviously, we've had those, like, volume companion, monstrous companions, depending on where they come from. They've had one recently about Minecraft, and then they had one about Eladrins and Feywild stuff, and then they've had little adventures like, oh, more Minecraft stuff, more this. So I do think that this particular mortuary stuff is like extra stuff they just couldn't put in to the Planescape books. They're like, well, we just give them as a primer, give it as a taster. And it's the same, they had it for the Golden Bolts as well. They had the Prisoner 13 as a taster, and they're like, well, this is actually in the book. So now they're creating extra content.
Are they?
Well, think about it, like the Starforge adventure.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were saying they'd made extra content for Golden Vault. Sorry.
Oh, no. I think that's what it started as. And then they were like, well, why don't we just create new stuff, rather? Because otherwise people are like, oh, we've already got this in the book.
Yeah.
So I think, stuff like the Starforge, those extra monster companion volumes, and then now this, like the mortuary. So exciting times.
It's really good. And I'd love more of these things. I love one for each of the Harmonium Prison is the Grixis Tower. There's a really good map of that on the internet, and I actually, before one of the prison towers, the Tower of the Worm, I think I use, which is what it used to be called. I used in my other Planescape venture. There's a good Harmonium Barracks map online, and I use that as a good little place to muck about in, because like breaking into the Multiverse's prison, and that's like talking about heist. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of fun with that. So yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Anyway, Fiona.
Yes.
What?
Well, are we doing it this way around?
Yeah,
oh God, we're doing it this way around.
Yeah, we're doing it this way around. I thought I'm going to muck up we're glitching.
We're glitching.
Yeah, exactly. So, who are you? Why are you? When are you? And where are you?
Well, hello, my name is Hamilton. I do Bowers and Spelljammer, which is coming out next time. No, my name is Fiona.
Don't do this. No, please, no. Let's shill each other's. Let's do it.
Okay. Hi, my name's Hamilton. I do lots of things. I've got Bowers and Spelljammer coming out. I've worked on it really, really hard, and it is coming out this month. It's coming out next month. We've got Jeremy from Free Black Halflings. We've got Chloe from Deck of Many Aces. We've got Taylor from Blackwater Bastards. They're all playing different carnations of bows. Anyway, you don't have to look at it. It's fine. We've also got Hazard Stripes. That's my YouTube where I do my Necromunda stuff. The Taylor Four Gangers is all Warhammer stuff. But again, you don't have to look at it if you want to. But I did get over 1,000 people subscribed to me recently. But don't worry about it. What else do I do? Oh, I do this with Fiona. I'm going to Dragon Meets. I've got a Kickstarter for my Demon Slayer Morkborg. But again, you don't need to look at it. Very much like Infinity Castle stuff, but again, that's not out here. But don't worry about it. But I'll be at Dragon Meet, and we'll be doing the Morkborg, the last Christmas before Cthulhu. You know what? It doesn't matter. Just look at my stuff, but don't talk to me about it. Okay, bye.
Oh my gosh, so called out. Oh, that is so me. Oh dear. Yeah.
But I don't know how to answer that.
Do it now.
What are you up to? What new things are happening for you, person that's across from me, my co-host?
Do we have to say the actual thing? Come on, who are you?
We're doing it that way around.
Yeah, we're doing. Yeah.
So Hamilton, who are you? What are you? Why are you? When are you? And where are you?
Who am I? Well, I'm Fiona. What am I? A human being. Why am I? Good question. I'll have to ask someone else. When am I? Well, it's 22:55 on the 7th of November 2023. Where am I? I'm so glad you asked. I run one of my rolling podcasts, a twice monthly podcast where I play different games from the TTRPG world, also interview loads of fancy people. I've been just recently doing
good luck.
It's gone right out of my head because I've got Morkborg in my head and it's not that. I've just been doing my brain is hurting so much right now. What is it?
Going Rogue 2E, but it's fine.
Going Rogue 2E. That's it. Going Rogue 2E, which is a little rules light game where you play as rogues, basically.
Yes. Okay, sure. Cool.
Is that what it is?
Tight. Yeah.
I've got some interviews I'm organizing right now. I was emailing someone earlier today about one. We'll get back to that later. Content. I'm going to do more content. I'm doing so much for Dragon Meet. You better come.
You better come.
I'm tall. I'm probably going to be hanging out with some famous people at some point. And whatever.
Our impressions of each other are great, but also damning. We really need to up our game.
On that note, Fiona.
on that on
glitchy
that
note.
on that
now
glitchy
we're back
note.
to being who we are again.
Gosh, I need a cup of tea and a lie down. But yeah, thank you so much, Hamilton. Thank you for sharing your love of Planescape as got us to this point after Travel Book Club. Yeah, I'd recommend again if you want to check out our guide to the planes. Check out Travel Book Club
and watch it in video format on the YouTubes as well, because we actually have got nice pictures and our faces.
Yeah, our faces.
And our faces.
If you look very closely, I moved twice.
You do. Actually, at one point, I think you're in your work as well.
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah.
Aren't you also in the Americas at one point as well?
I think I am. Yeah, I think I moved several times.
I think it's not more than twice. I think you were in 3-4 different locations.
And you just are in the same. You don't change.
I don't move.
You are in Sigil, and I'm in the other planes. That's what we've discussed.
I take that. I am Sigil. You are the Outlands.
Yep. That's a different realm to the Outlands. But yeah, do check that out. And maybe we'll come back to do those other planes we were talking about previously, the positive and negative and elemental and inner planes.
I'm interested to look at them, actually. As I've said, I've read the elemental planes one, and it is good. It is good. So we should do it.
We should do it. All right. Well, with all that out of the way, thank you so much for listening. And as always, we will see you
on the flip side.
Pew, 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 pew. Wow.